Imagine a player with a three-point accuracy of 99%. Even Curry would call him a demon. Yet, despite this, our protagonist remains a wanderer in the NBA. He has been cut by 8 teams because head coaches refused to give him a chance. He couldn't prove his worth anywhere until his 10-day contract with the Lakers reached its end. On this final day, his opportunity finally arrives. At this moment, the Lakers are trailing the Warriors 80-110, a massive 30-point deficit. As in so many previous games, the Lakers' offense is struggling. Their three-point shooting, a dismal 3 for 18, is painful to watch, especially compared to the Warriors' star. Curry has entered Skywalker mode again, hitting 11 of 15 three-pointers. He alone has outscored the entire Lakers team from deep. We have reached the fourth quarter. With only 8 minutes left and no hope of a comeback, the Lakers coach pulls his stars, James and Nongme, from the floor. James is seen on the bench now. He is looking down, focused entirely on biting his fingernails. Nongme is staring at the court, but his mind is clearly elsewhere. In such a bleak atmosphere, the head coach shakes his head helplessly. His gaze sweeps across the bench and finally lands on Wong. To be honest, this young man from the East is quite unremarkable. While his natural talent seems average and he hasn't seen any playing time with the Lakers, he is hardworking, humble, and keeps a low profile during every practice session. The coach has a certain fondness for him. Since tonight is the last night of Wong's 10-day contract, he decides to give him a moment to show what he can do. The Lakers certainly won't offer him a second contract, but perhaps another team might see him and offer a job. It isn't impossible, though the probability is practically zero. With that thought, the coach beckons him over. Wong, it's your turn to perform. Wong, whose attention had been fixed on the coach the entire time, feels a rush of adrenaline. A surge of blood rushes to his head as he stands up abruptly. It has been 3 long months since he last set foot on the hardwood in a real game. Finally, he stands once more on an NBA court. At that exact moment, a voice echoes inside his mind. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a chance to play for the Lakers. The system activates, granting him a 10-minute Super God three-pointer experience. His feet feel heavy for a second, but before he can process this strange turn of events, the referee at the sideline signals for him. He has no choice but to jog quickly onto the court. Meanwhile, across the ocean in the Penguin NBA broadcast room, the two commentators see the change in the lineup and mention it casually. Our domestic player, Wong, is entering the game. Let's see how he performs. There is no elaborate introduction, it's just a brief mention. After all, he has spent 2 years warming the bench in the NBA. Everyone seems to share the same low expectations. Neither commentator expects much from him, and the live chat is even harsher, filled with insults. Seeing this guy as soon as I enter the stream is just bad luck. What a disgrace. The comments tell him to just pack up and come home. We recall that when he first arrived in the NBA, he carried the weight of high hopes, and domestic fans praised him endlessly. He had high hopes initially, but a wrist injury during training led to poor performances, and many NBA coaches already held a certain bias against players from the East. Without opportunities, he gradually became a marginal player, and most domestic fans began to lash out, acting as if they wanted to cast him into the depths of hell. While some still understood his struggle, they were practically invisible compared to the haters. Meanwhile, at the Staples Center, the Lakers are preparing to inbound the ball. As a shooting guard, Wong moves into the Lakers' half after the inbound. The other players on the floor are all deep bench reserves who usually only see garbage time. Now that they've finally earned a chance to play, they naturally want to show off. To be honest, no one seems interested in playing as a cohesive unit. Over the next 2 possessions, the 4 of them each take a shot and miss. Instead of a comeback, the lead stretches even further, reaching a massive 35 points. Finally, on the 3rd possession, the ball finds its way to Wong at the top of the arc. As he catches it, we see his entire demeanor suddenly sharpen. He feels filled with an indescribable power, as if he has been competing on this stage for decades. His shooting touch feels exceptionally hot, almost supernatural. Seeing the defender standing before him with a lazy, relaxed posture, Wong doesn't hesitate. He rises quickly with a textbook shooting form. It is a picture-perfect jump shot. The basketball glides through the air in a beautiful arc and snaps through the net with a crisp swish. Most of the live audience is still chatting or distracted by their phones. Across the ocean in the broadcast room, the 2 commentators are busy talking as well. They are discussing team rankings and fail to notice that Wong has just hit a beautiful three-pointer. The live chat, however, is filled with cynical remarks. One viewer asks if he just got lucky, while another claims that if Wong hits 2 more, he will literally eat dirt. People can be quite dramatic, can't they? The game continues. After a missed shot by the Warriors, the Lakers go on the attack again. 2 teammates fumble a pass, nearly turning the ball over. By sheer luck, the ball bounces off a defender and flies toward Wong. Once again, he catches it at the top of the arc without a moment's hesitation. He pulls up and shoots immediately. He is in the zone now, knowing that if he doesn't fight for his life tonight, he may never get another chance to play. Without this job, pursuing his dreams would be impossible, and even basic survival would be difficult. The ball clears the rim and finds the net again. It's another beautiful three-pointer. The score is now 86-115, cutting the deficit to 29. However, this second shot still fails to stir the crowd. Only the Lakers head coach is seen clapping vigorously to encourage him. Even James has stopped biting his nails. James begins to clap as well. As the team leader, he knows he must be the first to acknowledge a teammate's good performance, even in a blowout. He steps up to encourage the team. On the next play, the Warriors commit a turnover, sparking a Lakers fast break. Wong puts his head down and sprints toward the corner. A teammate looks to drive for a layup, but the Warriors' transition defense is quick. Their center is already there, looming in the paint to block the path to the rim. In that split second, the teammate instinctively kicks the ball out to Wong. It's basic basketball logic. You feed the hot hand. Without a second thought, Wong rises again. The ball hits the rim with a dull thud and bounces high. We watch as it strikes the backboard, then dances precariously on the edge of the cylinder. After 4 nervous bounces, it finally drops through. The score is now 89-115. The Lakers have cut the lead to 26 points, and a few fans actually start to cheer. The scattered applause grows as the crowd realizes he's just buried 3 triples in less than a minute. It's enough to cause a bit of surprise, though only a little. Over in the 10-cent NBA stream, the live chat is starting to erupt. Since he's hit 2 more shots, people are calling out the viewer who promised to eat dirt. However, that particular critic has long since vanished. Back at the Staples Center, the Warriors head coach immediately calls for a timeout to settle his team. Even though this new Chinese player's 9-point burst seems like a drop in the bucket, the coach decides to play it safe. He needs to address the defense. He gathers his players and points toward an afro-haired reserve, who happens to be their best perimeter defender. He gives him a very specific set of instructions. He tells him to stick to the Lakers' number 1, Wong, and to give up the drive rather than another 3. The defender just squints at the distant figure of Wong. With a look of pure disdain, the defender nods, boasting that he'll make Wong cry for his mother and crawl all the way back to the east. Quite the ego, clearly. Meanwhile, on the Lakers bench, the head coach is keeping things simple. He tells the other players to set screens and tells Wong to keep shooting with confidence. Hearing those words of encouragement, Wong feels a sudden warmth in his chest. To be honest, this is a moment he has waited a very long time for. It is the first time since joining the NBA that a coach has actually designed a play for him. Even a simple screen is enough to make his heart race with excitement. He nods firmly, his eyes burning with a renewed fire. Just then, the team leader, James, walks over and offers a heavy, resounding high five. James tells him he likes those threes, but expects to see even more. Wong stands tall, looks him in the eye, and confidently says that he won't be disappointed. At the same time, the 2 commentators in the broadcast booth are finally looking at the box score. They begin to run through the Lakers' individual points. They list James with 23 and Davis with 28, but when they reach Wong Yi's 9 points, the lead commentator suddenly pauses in surprise. He realizes that their own Wong Yi has somehow managed to score 9 points already. The other commentator notes that he must have just hit 3 straight triples. We see the commentators double-checking the stats, and yes, it's true. 3 for 3 from beyond the arc, 9 points total. For Wong Yi, this is already a career high. They wonder if he has another triple in him, though they note his wrist injury. To be honest, that last shot looked a bit strained, as if he were favoring the joint. Perhaps he won't attempt another, as the pressure on a damaged wrist is immense. But as they speak, the game resumes, and we return to the action on the court. The Warriors execute a crisp passing cut for a layup, pushing the lead back to 28. Now, it's the Lakers' turn to respond as they bring the ball up once more. The afro-haired defender is practically glued to Wong. His coach told him to shut down the newcomer, and he clearly intends to make life miserable for the Eastern veteran. He mutters a constant stream of trash talk, mocking Wong's fragile frame and asking if he can even lift his arms for another shot. It's quite the performance, really. He vows to stick to Wong like glue until he's reduced to tears. Wong, however, simply ignores the noise. He has always preferred to let his game do the talking. Following the coach's play, Wong curls around a screen and finds himself at the top of the key. He catches the ball just as the afro-haired defender lunges toward him. There is only a split second to act. Without a hint of hesitation, Wong stops on a dime, rises into the air, and snaps his wrist with practiced precision. The entire motion is fluid, almost poetic in its execution. The ball soars high, narrowly escaping the outstretched fingertips of the leaping defender. Under the bright arena spotlights, the ball carves a perfect orange arc through the air. It hits nothing but net, snapping the white cord with a satisfying sound. As Wong pulls back his hand, he catches the defender's eye and offers a faint, knowing smile. It was another perfectly smooth shot, effortless and cold. In this moment, he realizes his incredible rhythm tonight is all thanks to the system's super god shooting ability. The second it leaves his hand, he knows it's in. He wonders if this is how the great shooters feel every night. He even steals a glance at Curry on the Warriors bench, who seems to be watching him with newfound interest. The defender, however, is still barking at his heels, insisting that Wong won't get lucky again. He claims he's about to make Wong question his very existence. He threatens to send Wong crawling back home, but Wong doesn't even turn his head. He simply replies that he'll keep shooting until the defender's spirit breaks. That retort only fires the defender up more, and he continues his verbal assault as they run down the floor. Wong says nothing else, treating the noise like background static. Thanks to those 4 consecutive triples, the lead has shrunk to 25 points. The gap that once stood at 35 is closing with startling speed. On the Lakers sideline, the players are starting to stand up, caught in the excitement. Even if they lose tonight, what they are witnessing is nothing short of a miracle. 4 threes in just 90 seconds. It's enough to stun anyone. The Warriors miss their next attempt, and we watch as the Lakers transition back into the attack. As soon as he crosses the half-court line, Wang signals for the ball once again, his intent clear to everyone in the arena. He manages to create a sliver of space, though he is still a good 2 meters behind the three-point line. If he keeps dribbling, the afro-haired defender will surely catch him. Without a second to lose, he pulls up for a sudden jump shot, snapping his wrist with confidence. Swish, another three-pointer drops, cutting the lead to 22. Suddenly, a third of the crowd is on its feet, cheering wildly, even though less than 3 minutes remain and the gap is still over 20 points. And a comeback seems impossible. This man has just hit 5 consecutive triples. He has reignited their passion, proving just how formidable he truly is. Fans wonder who this Lakers sharpshooter is, as many have never seen him before. He's a 10-day contract player, though his name is still a mystery to most. As the shot falls, Wang feels a massive surge of adrenaline. His confidence is swelling. In this moment, he feels as though the rim is as wide as the ocean, and no matter how he throws the ball, it will find its way home. On the Warriors bench, Curry's eyes are flashing. As a legendary shooter who pioneered the small ball era, seeing someone else sink 5 straight triples has set his own competitive spirit ablaze. He looks as though he wants to step onto the court and settle this duel personally, but when he glances at his head coach, the man gives a subtle shake of the head. The game is essentially won, and there is no need to risk Curry now. On the next play, the Warriors miss a 3 of their own, and the Lakers transition back. Wang calls for the ball after crossing half-court, but the defender has learned his lesson. He meets Wang 2 meters behind the arc to deny any space. He refuses to give Wang a single look at the basket. Wang dribbles, glancing at his right hand, and the defender, sensing a moment of hesitation, grows bolder. He claps his hands loudly, taunting Wang to try something. He even bets $100 that Wang won't make the next shot. A bold claim, certainly. This kind of trash talk is pure psychological warfare. Long-range shooting, after all, is a discipline that requires immense mental focus and steady nerves. The slightest mental shift can cause a shooter's form to break, and once the form goes, the shots stop falling. But Wang's blood is up now. He continues his dribble, but instead of driving forward, he takes 3 deliberate steps back until his feet are planted firmly on the center court logo. The defender laughs, flashing a wide grin. He asks Wang if he thinks he's Stephen Curry, trying to pull off a logo shot from that distance. He tells the Eastern veteran he must still be dreaming. Even the commentators are stunned, wondering what on earth this man is planning to do. One commentator jokes about the audacity of a logo shot. It seems hitting 5 in a row has made Wang feel quite invincible indeed. The commentators continue their teasing, mocking the idea of him being the next Curry, but before their words even land, Wang releases the ball. From the center court logo, he has to snap his wrist with immense power, yet the release feels perfect. He knows the moment it leaves his hand. While the ball is still soaring through the air, he simply turns his back to the rim and raises his right hand, signaling a three-pointer. The ball carves a massive, elongated arc through the sky. A second after he makes the gesture, it strikes like a long-range missile. It slams into the hoop, a successful logo shot. This wasn't a soft swish. It was a heavy, thunderous strike that demanded attention. Like a shell whistling across the battlefield, the ball crashes into the net, and in that instant, it feels like it hits the entire arena too. The stadium erupts instantly. People are screaming, "Oh my God, a logo shot." They can't believe he turned around to celebrate before it even went in. It is, to be honest, incredibly cool. The decibel level in the building skyrockets because a logo shot is pure visual adrenaline. To shoot from that distance and walk away without looking, well, that is a level of swagger even Curry himself rarely displays. The crowd isn't alone. Even the 2 commentators who were just joking are now shouting in disbelief at what they've just witnessed. It's truly hard to believe, but he actually did it. In this moment, he looks like the Lakers' very own version of Stephen Curry. Over on the sidelines, Warriors coach Steve Kerr shakes his head helplessly. He finally understands how it feels to have a Curry playing against him. Curry remains still, but his eyes are burning with a competitive fire. Meanwhile, we see the Lakers bench absolutely lose their minds. The substitutes are jumping and whipping their towels frantically, while the starters are leaping up to high-five over this world-shaking shot. Even Anthony Davis stands up despite his injury, his thick eyebrows arched high in pure shock. And then there is LeBron James. LeBron is on his feet with his hands up, signaling the 3, his face a mask of exaggerated disbelief as he repeats, "Oh my God." Across the ocean in the broadcast studios, the guest commentators are practically glowing with excitement. 6 triples in just 2 minutes. And a logo shot to top it off? It's madness. Our very own Wang, he has just exploded for 18 points in a mere 2-minute span. It is beyond anyone's imagination. Most viewers had already tuned out because it was garbage time, but those who stayed are witnessing history. Our viewers are flooding the live chat with praise, calling Wang Yi a legend and wondering if this is the start of his true rise. After all, he didn't even look at the rim. He celebrated before the ball even landed, a move so smooth it has fans swooning. Of course, the haters are never far behind, mocking his 2-year career stats. They claim he hasn't even scored 100 points total and that this is just a lucky streak. Go home, they say, don't embarrass us any further. They challenge him to do it again, calling his celebration disrespectful and arrogant. One even bets he'll do a handstand while eating if Wang Yi hits 8 triples. Back on the court, we see that hitting that logo shot has pushed Wang Yi's confidence to the absolute limit. And who could blame him, really? The lead has been cut to 19 points. He can feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, his body trembling with the sheer excitement of the moment. Turning around to celebrate is something we've seen from LeBron or Curry, but doing it on a logo shot? That makes him the very first. He usually prefers to keep a low profile, but basketball is a game of expression. On this court, it's time to show exactly what he's capable of. If you can't show your personality while playing, why play at all? His philosophy is simple: stay humble in life, but play loud on the court. The afro-haired defender stands frozen, watching the ball bounce off the floor after snapping the net. He looks, to be honest, like he's seen a ghost. Wang Yi gives him a cool, passing glance and calmly reminds him not to forget about that $100 bet. The defender finally snaps out of his trance. He mutters a curse about the guy from the east getting on his nerves, but Wang Yi has already turned his back to head downcourt for defense. On the next play, the Warriors' attack is smothered. The Lakers' point guard brings the ball up and prepares a screen to set Wang Yi up for another 3. But Wang Yi is feeling the heat. He waves off the screen, signaling his teammate to move. The guard shrugs and clears out, giving him the space he wants. He faces the afro-haired defender again and considers gesturing for him to come here, but that would surely earn him a technical foul. He isn't afraid of the foul, but the $25,000 fine is a fortune for someone on a 10-day contract. He wisely suppresses the urge. Instead, he uses his best, if slightly accented, English to tell the man to come on. The defender, now visibly fuming, steps up to meet the challenge. He digs in his heels, desperate to stop the momentum. Wang Yi just offers a mysterious smile and suddenly jabs his right foot forward. The defender bites on the move, shifting his weight instantly, but Wang Yi has already snapped his foot back and is rising for the jump shot. The defender realizes he's been fooled and lunges to contest the shot. In that split second of daylight, Wang Yi releases the ball as the bench watches breathless. Everyone in the arena has risen to their feet, and we see every single spectator staring intently at the court. Their eyes are fixed on the basketball as it arcs through the air, carrying the weight of the entire game with it. The explosive power he's showing is simply staggering. Fans are wondering how a talent this strong only has a 10-day contract. The Lakers better offer him a guaranteed deal soon, or another team will surely snatch him up. Meanwhile, the commentators are screaming. They call it one of the most incredible performances they've ever seen. Across the ocean, the Chinese fans are even more expressive. Their reactions are a colorful explosion of pure emotion. Back on the court, Wang Yi looks at the afro-haired defender. The defender's face has turned as dark as iron. He's finally stopped talking trash, falling into a stunned, heavy silence. In just over 2 minutes, the man he was supposed to guard has dropped over a dozen points right over his head. To be called out specifically and then have a long-range 3 drained in your face, well, that is a supreme humiliation. He no longer has the nerve to talk. It's ironic, considering he earlier told Wang Yi to go home crying. Now, it's the defender who looks ready to weep. After Wang Yi sinks the extra free throw, the score is 97-112. The lead has shrunk from 35 to 15 in what feels like an instant. Usually, a 15-point gap is insurmountable. But after this wild performance, no one is certain of anything. 2 more triples would bring the lead to single digits. The Warriors coach calls another timeout, looking visibly dazed. He tells his players to start double-teaming him immediately. The Warriors players are stunned, wondering if they heard him correctly. The order is simple: double-team him the moment he touches the ball. They are told to force him to pass and never let him shoot again. The players exchange looks of pure disbelief. To double-team a guy on a 10-day contract whose name they barely know? It seems like a bit much, to be honest. However, no one dares to question the coach. When play resumes, the Warriors follow orders and swarm Wang Yi immediately. The commentators can't help but laugh at the absurdity. It is, in a strange way, a massive honor for him. The crowd is loving the drama, but Wang Yi isn't smiling. Despite the system's help, his injured wrist throbs whenever he dribbles. With the double team closing in, Wang Yi has no choice but to pass the ball quickly, hoping his open teammates can capitalize on the opportunity. Unfortunately, their shots rim out, but he never stops moving, weaving through screens until he finds 2 more openings in the final minutes. He sinks both triples, and with every shot that falls, the arena erupts in a deafening roar until the final buzzer finally sounds. The final score stands at 111-118. The Lakers have lost by a mere 7 points, yet the crowd shows no sign of disappointment. They don't even know his name yet, so they simply chant his jersey number, 1-1. To be honest, they seem happier than if they'd won. The team leader, LeBron, is the first to approach, pulling Wang Yi into a powerful embrace and whispering that he actually did it. 28 points in 5 minutes, a truly legendary performance. Even Davis comes over to offer a high five, looking genuinely impressed. The Lakers are acting like they won, while the Warriors, despite their victory, look somber and perhaps a bit frustrated by the scare. Their head coach is breaking out in a cold sweat. A 30-point lead nearly evaporated in 5 minutes. It was almost a total collapse. Had they lost, he would have been pinned to a pillar of historical shame. As the game ends, the players gather for the customary handshakes. The Warriors star, Curry, shares a few words and a hug with LeBron and Davis before turning his attention toward our protagonist. A spark of competitive fire glimmers in Curry's eyes as he tells Wang Yi that his three-point shot is incredibly formidable. Wang Yi immediately responds that Curry's shot isn't exactly weak either, prompting that famous, youthful smile to break across Curry's face. Even with the beard, he still carries that baby-faced assassin charm. Curry adds that he hopes they can truly duel on the court soon. Wang Yi nods firmly, his own competitive spirit surging. After all, who wouldn't want to challenge the very best in their field? Just then, a substitute approaches to tell Wang Yi that General Manager Pelinka wants to see him. His heart skips a beat at the news. His 10-day contract has expired. Usually, if a team isn't interested, they just call your agent. A personal meeting suggests something much better. LeBron, overhearing the summons, looks genuinely happy for him. He smiles and reminds Wang Yi that tonight might be the start of his luck. After a quick word of thanks, Wang Yi heads straight for the office of Rob Pelinka, a man known for his quiet, observant nature. Pelinka often watches games from the top of the stands in total silence, leaving everyone wondering exactly what is going through his mind. As we enter the office, we see Pelinka sitting behind his desk. He looks up and tells Wang Yi that his performance tonight was a surprise to everyone. He notes that with Schroeder still out on injury, the backcourt is missing a scorer, and then he asks if Wang Yi would sign another 10-day short-term contract. Pelinka is a smooth talker. He doesn't say we are willing to sign you, but asks if Wang Yi is willing to sign with them. While the meaning is similar, the latter shows far more respect to the player. To be honest, it's a clever way to build rapport. Wang Yi had expected his play on the court to impress the Lakers management, but hearing it directly from the general manager still brings him a surge of joy. He thanks the manager, knowing he has no reason to refuse. Another 10-day contract is a win, even if a guaranteed deal is still out of reach. The Lakers won't offer a full guarantee yet, especially since their starting point guard, Schroeder, is set to return in about a week. Once he returns, the backcourt will be crowded, making a guaranteed spot impossible unless Wang Yi can deliver another dazzling performance in this second window. Thinking of this, he remembers the system in his mind and clenches his fist as Pelinka adds that this second 10-day contract is worth $20,000. Pelinka hopes this satisfies him, and Wang Yi nods immediately, expressing his gratitude. Yes, he is very satisfied indeed. These short contracts vary from a few thousand to over $10,000 based on past play. His previous contract was only worth $8,000. This jump to $20,000 will certainly make his life less strained. Leaving the office, we find Caruso already waiting for him. Since Wang Yi is currently staying at his house, Caruso waits for him after every home game, asking eagerly if he got a guaranteed deal. Wang Yi shakes his head, mentioning it's just another short contract, but Caruso claps him on the shoulder, confident that his play will eventually earn him more. Wang Yi nods, keeping his thoughts to himself. After a simple dinner back at Caruso's place, he finally lies down on his bed in the garage. Suddenly, that cold electronic voice echoes in his mind again. The legendary superstar system is active, and a training task has been issued. Make 1,000 triples. The reward is a permanent three-point shooting percentage boost to 45%. That night, sleep is impossible as his mind races. He keeps thinking about that 45% figure. It's a staggering reward, considering that such a percentage represents the absolute elite of shooters. Even a legend like Curry has a career average slightly below 45%. In the entire history of the NBA, such efficiency is nearly unheard of. Only the Warriors' head coach, Kerr, has surpassed that mark in his career. He never imagined the system's first reward would be so incredibly powerful. If we were to ask what the Lakers need most right now, it is undoubtedly a stable three-point shooter, as players like Pope, Kuzma, Schroeder, and Tucker can all shoot from deep, but their accuracy is, to be honest, quite unreliable. In this small ball era, without consistent perimeter shooting, games become an immense struggle. Imagine the impact if Wang Yi could raise his three-point percentage to 45%. It would be terrifying for his opponents. At 4 in the morning, while the sky is still dark, he is already eager to reach the Lakers' training facility. The drowsy security guard recognizes him as the player on the 10-day contract and lets him in. Looking out at the deep, dark night, the guard mutters to himself about how incredibly hard-working these Easterners are. Entering the gym, Wang Yi flips on the lights and sets up the shooting machine to begin his grueling task. He knows that the team is desperate for a reliable shooter, and even James has acknowledged this need by nodding in approval of his extra effort. Disrupting the coach's official training schedule is something a newcomer like Wang Yi certainly cannot do. Only a superstar like James has that kind of authority. However, James rarely abuses his power, yet today, he seems willing to make an exception for Wang Yi. By 10 o'clock, the rest of the players begin to arrive. Most of them have just woken up, and seeing Wang Yi and James already drenched in sweat has become a familiar sight for the team. Everyone follows the coaches. Plan to start the day's practice, while Wang Yi remains tucked away in a corner, relentlessly practicing his three-pointers. At 4 in the afternoon, practice ends. The other players begin to head home, but Wang Yi stays behind, as he is only 11 shots away from completing his daunting system task. James hasn't left either. He stays to put in extra work and watches as Wang Yi shoots with a near-obsessive intensity. He realizes Wang Yi has been at it all day. The young man hasn't even stopped for lunch. Deep down, James is genuinely astonished, and he stands still for a long moment, simply observing the dedication. Because his physical energy is almost entirely depleted, those final 11 shots take nearly 60 attempts. Finally, the last three-pointer ripples through the net. In his mind, that cold electronic voice echoes once more. Task complete. Permanent three-point shooting percentage increased to 45%. He lets out a long, exhausted breath and collapses onto the floor. James and Caruso, who has been waiting for him, watch in a respectful, heavy silence. After panting for 2 full minutes, Wang Yi tilts his head toward them with a smile, telling them they can fully trust him in tomorrow's game against the Clippers. James and Caruso exchange a skeptical look. Remembering his 20% accuracy during today's practice, they have no idea where this sudden confidence comes from. The following evening at 8, the battle between the Lakers and their city rivals, the Clippers, is about to begin as the players start their warm-ups. Over on the Clippers side, their defensive specialist, the Mad Dog, Beverly, approaches the coach to demand the toughest assignment, guarding James. Coach Tyronn Lue doesn't hesitate for a second before nodding, and at that, Beverly's eyes light up like a hound spotting its prey. He might be undersized, but the Mad Dog possesses an endless well of fighting spirit that defines his entire game. Once he steps onto the court, he becomes a relentless shadow that refuses to let go. Meanwhile, across the ocean in the Penguin NBA broadcast room, the atmosphere is buzzing with anticipation for the matchup. We see the famous media personality Soo Koon acting as the guest commentator, joined by the energetic host, Wang Ming. They are accompanied by the popular host Mena, a devoted James fan who, naturally, is present for every one of his games. Wang Ming opens with the question on everyone's mind, after Wang Yi scored 28 points in 5 minutes last game. Will we see another explosive performance from him tonight? Soo Koon smiles as he flips through his statistical notes. He admits that while Wang Yi's previous performance was stunning, repeating such a feat is a monumental task. Still, we are all waiting to see if he can catch lightning in a bottle twice, and the live chat is already flooded with fans. Many hope to see Wang Yi play, noting they haven't followed the Lakers this closely since the era of the great Yao Ming. Of course, the skeptics are just as loud, claiming that one good game doesn't mean anything if the team doesn't actually win. They argue that scoring in garbage time is just stat padding and that he won't survive against a real, focused defense. Deep down, they doubt he will even get off the bench tonight. Back at the arena, Wang Yi is blissfully unaware of the online chatter. To be honest, even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He has endured years of criticism and mockery from internet trolls already. His mind has been forged into something far stronger, making him completely immune to the noise of the keyboard warriors. On the court, Beverly is glued to James, relentlessly chirping trash talk and playing with an aggressive, physical edge. James, playing the long game to save his energy, spends the first half facilitating from the top of the key like a grandmaster. The Lakers shooters are actually stepping up for once, keeping the score within 2 points as we head into the third quarter. Suddenly, the momentum shifts. James had planned to drive into the paint and kick the ball out during the third quarter, but the Lakers shooters have regressed to their usual, frustrating form. They missed 3 consecutive shots from beyond the arc. In contrast, the Clippers sink 4 in a row, and just like that, the lead balloons to 14 points. Coach Vogel, sensing the danger, quickly calls a timeout to emphasize perimeter defense. However, simply talking about defense isn't enough. The Lakers need to actually put points on the board. They need to show some respect to the game by actually making a but that is easier said than done. As is often the case, the more you rush, the further the goal recedes. With 6 minutes left in the third quarter, the Lakers find themselves trailing by a staggering 20 points. Coach Vogel is a brilliant tactician, but even he is at a loss. Everyone knows the best way to break a zone defense is with three-pointers, but if you can't hit them, you're in trouble. A heavy gloom settles over the Lakers bench. In this moment of despair, Caruso remembers the words Wang Yi spoke just yesterday. You can absolutely trust me. With that thought in mind, he leans in and whispers to James. James's eyes light up instantly, and he turns his gaze toward Wang Yi. Across the ocean, as the Lakers fall behind by 20, the 2 commentators in the Penguin NBA broadcast room begin brainstorming ways to save the game. Wang Ming starts by saying, "Teacher Sue, the Lakers are down by 20. Look, Mena is almost in tears. To keep the game exciting and save Mena from a heartbreak, can you offer some advice for the Lakers?" Hearing Wang Ming's playful tone, Soo Koon smiles and offers his analysis. He notes that the Lakers' core issue is their stagnant outside shooting. It's common knowledge that you beat a zone with threes, and the Lakers certainly know it too. We've seen it in these last few minutes. Caruso took 2 shots, Kuzma took 1, Tucker 1, and even Davis and James each attempted 1. Between the 5 of them, they've gone 1 for 6. With a percentage like that, any other team would have been blown out completely. It's only the Lakers' decent defensive efficiency that has kept the deficit at 20. So, the problem remains the three-pointer. In today's small ball era, if you can't shoot from deep, you'll struggle against anyone. Wang Ming nods, agreeing that Su Kun makes a valid point. If Coach Vogel were a bit bolder and decided to use our own Wang Yi, would things improve? Su Kun replies that it's ultimately up to Vogel. He expresses hope that the coach won't wait until garbage time to put Wang Yi in, like he did in the last game. After all, we all saw Wang Yi's explosive performance. Why not try him now, before the game is completely out of reach? In the live chat, fans are echoing this sentiment, calling for Brother E to take the court. Of course, the skeptics are still there, arguing that if the starters can't do it, no one can. The skeptics argue that if the bench can't solve the problem, it's naive to think a marginal player will. They say he should just go home instead of embarrassing himself, as he seems destined to stay on the bench forever. Meanwhile, back at the arena, the Lakers call another timeout. James approaches Coach Vogel to make a suggestion, but before he can even finish his sentence, Vogel nods and agrees to give him a try. Vogel is actually quite a bold tactician. He had already considered putting Wang Yi in, but seeing James speaking with the young player, he decided to wait for James to suggest it himself. As the team leader, if James makes the call, it ensures the other players will respect the decision. This helps James unite the team, and Vogel knows it will also earn him some goodwill from his superstar. A clever move, to be sure. When dealing with a superstar like James, their willingness to follow the coach's plan is vital to winning. It's clear that Vogel's emotional intelligence is remarkably high. He beckons with a smile, and Wang Yi, who is already prepared, springs up like a coiled wire. He jogs over to the coach, where Vogel tells him that LeBron suggested he play, adding that he hopes Wang Yi won't let them down. Wang Yi's heart races with excitement as he nods firmly, promising not to fail. At that moment, a cold electronic voice announces a successful check-in. He has just received a Junior Death Grip experience card. He is overjoyed. With his 45% three-point shooting and this new defensive boost, he is about to become a top-tier 3D player. This is exactly what the Lakers need right now to stay afloat. Thinking quickly, he speaks up and asks the coach to let him guard Leonard. It was Leonard's constant drives to the basket that forced the defense to collapse, creating those open three-point looks for the Clippers. If someone can stop Leonard, those perimeter opportunities will vanish. Coach Vogel is surprised because, as far as he knows, Wang Yi's physical gifts are average and his lateral speed is nothing special. Yet here he is, volunteering to guard a machine like Leonard. With a steady gaze, Wang Yi asks for just 2 possessions to prove himself. He knows that, to be perfectly honest, everyone else who tried to guard Leonard has already failed. He can't say that out loud, of course, as it might hurt team morale. So he leaves it for the coach to realize on his own. Vogel considers this for a moment, understands the subtext, and agrees. He grants him 3 possessions. Wang Yi nods, clenching his fists as he turns his eyes toward Leonard on the Clippers' side. He watches Leonard like a wolf eyeing a mechanical sheep. As the timeout ends, we see Wang Yi step onto the court with the Lakers, and the commentator immediately notices. He announces that the Eastern player who hit 9 threes in 5 minutes is back. We wait to see if he can recreate that magic, especially here at the Lakers' home. The fans at Staples Center begin to cheer, though to be honest, the applause isn't universal. The team is trailing by quite a lot, after all. Many fans still don't recognize this marginal player who only joined 10 days ago. Meanwhile, in the streaming chat rooms, the skeptics are already out in force. They mock the fact that he's actually playing again, assuming he's just there to fill space. As the Lakers move into the front court, James handles the ball at the top. The Clippers' defense remains tight. James scans his teammates, his gaze searching the floor, until finally, his eyes lock onto Wang Yi. With a sharp shout, he fires the pass. Wang Yi catches it without a hint of hesitation, bends his knees, and rises for the jump shot. His left wrist flicks the ball, sending it through the air in a perfect, rainbow-like arc. It's a clean swish. The sound of the ball hitting the net is amplified across the arena, a crisp snap that every shooter loves. The Lakers' DJ immediately announces the score with a high-pitched, energetic shout. A three-pointer for Wang Yi. Hearing his name echoed in that long, slightly accented drawl, he closes his eyes for a second to savor the moment. James comes over for a high five, telling him to enjoy the ride. Even Caruso approaches, realizing that what Wang Yi said yesterday was actually true. Clippers coach Tyronn Lue isn't particularly worried about one shot. To him, it's just 3 points. The Clippers players don't seem concerned either, even though they've done their homework. They know about his legendary 5-minute performance, but they assume such a divine streak only happens once in a lifetime. Like T-Mac's 13 points in 35 seconds, they believe it's impossible to repeat. Consequently, Coach Lue decides not to make any tactical adjustments. Now it's the Clippers' turn to attack, and Wang Yi moves directly to face their core star, Leonard. Given the gap in their natural physical gifts, stopping a giant like Leonard should be impossible. But this is when he activates the Death Grip experience card. Suddenly, he feels his feet becoming lighter and his lateral speed sharpening significantly. Beverly brings the ball across half court and hands it off to Leonard. Wang Yi is already in position, legs braced, standing firmly in Leonard's path. The commentators are visibly stunned by the sight. Why is this newcomer guarding Leonard? He's half a head shorter and significantly lighter. They fear he's about to be torn apart, questioning what Vogel could possibly be thinking. In the online chat rooms, the trolls are having a field day, practically salivating at the thought of the mismatch we are about to witness. The comments are brutal, suggesting he's just looking for a beating by trying to guard the robot. They assume a bit of luck with one three-pointer has gone to his head. Looking at the height difference, Leonard could easily ignore him or simply use his strength to drive past. Most observers expect Wang Yi to be completely crushed. On the court, Leonard chooses not to settle for a jumper. That isn't his preferred way to score. He much prefers to drive deep into the paint first. He loves that sudden stop for a mid-range shot. He quickly puts the ball down, intending to break through the right side, but Wang Yi is watching his shoulders. Predicting the move from a slight twitch, Wang Yi shifts his feet with surprising speed to block the path. Seeing the lane closed, Leonard immediately reacts. He pivots on his left foot, spinning right to try the other side. However, just as he completes the turn and brings the ball down to the floor, a hand reaches out quietly to intercept the ball in midair. Leonard's dribble hits nothing but floor as Wang Yi secures the steal. At that exact moment, a familiar figure is already sprinting toward the front court. Wang Yi looks up, sees James, and whips a powerful left-handed pass across the length of the floor. James catches it, takes one dribble, and leaps. With a thunderous crash, he delivers a signature tomahawk jam that instantly sets the entire arena on fire. The cameras focus on James, replaying the power of the dunk over and over. Yet, in the excitement, very few people notice the steal and the assist that started it. James, however, hasn't forgotten. He runs back to the defensive end and gives Wang Yi a high five, shouting excitedly that it was a beautiful play. Even Leonard turns back to look at him. It seems like a calm glance, but we know that even the greatest stars have a bit of a temper when challenged. The logic is simple. If you steal from a superstar, they'll want to score right back on you. Beverly knows this and brings the ball up, looking for Leonard. Wang Yi anticipates this perfectly. He plays a fronting defense, positioning himself so that Leonard doesn't even have a window to receive the pass. With the primary option shut down, Beverly is forced to swing the ball to Paul George. George tries to force a shot against Davis, but it misses the mark. The Lakers go back on the attack. The Clippers are still sticking to their zone, but Wang Yi is moving actively, finding his spot at the left corner three-point line. Playing with James makes the game much simpler. As a shooter, if you find the open space beyond the arc, the ball will eventually find its way to your hands. Sure enough, James fakes a drive to collapse the defense before zipping a pass to the corner. As the ball reaches Wang Yi, Paul George is already closing in. George has become something of a professional background character in these moments, having spent 20 years being on the wrong side of legendary game winners. He's been the victim of clutch shots by James, Lillard, Wade, Booker, and Butler twice. The list of people who have scored over him is getting quite long. Of course, this is partly because his defense isn't exactly stellar, so he's usually the one left to guard the opponent's final shot alone. But in this moment, facing the incoming defense, Wang Yi doesn't hesitate for a second. He releases a shot with absolute confidence. Swish. Another three-pointer finds nothing but net. We see a 20-point deficit shrink by 8 points in less than a minute, leaving them down by only 12. The arena erupts, and the Clippers head coach immediately calls a timeout. In the streaming booth, Wang Meng says with surprise that 2 triples in a minute makes him wonder if Wang Yi is about to replicate his miracle from the last game. Su Kun, being the rational one, notes that such a miracle is usually a once-in-a-lifetime event. To be honest, he's right. It's rare to see it twice. However, if Wang Yi can maintain a high shooting percentage, it would truly be a godsend for the Lakers' current situation. During the timeout, the Clippers coach points directly at Beverly, the Mad Dog, and tells him that when he goes back out there, he needs to shut Wang Yi down. In this basketball culture, being called a dog isn't an insult. It represents loyalty. And the nickname Mad Dog isn't a slight either. It refers to Beverly's near-insane fighting spirit and his absolute loyalty to the team. He is always hungry for the win, which tells you everything about his game. Beverly takes the nickname as a compliment and assures his coach he'll handle it. As the timeout ends and play resumes, we return to the action. When Leonard moves to attack, Wang Yi continues his suffocating death rap defense. This time, the Clippers have a plan, and Leonard uses a screen to finally receive the ball. But the moment he touches it, a ghost-like hand swiped at it. Clap. The ball hits the floor instantly. Leonard dives to recover it, but Wang Yi has already lunged forward. Seeing Anthony Davis, or Nongmei, already sprinting toward the front court, Wang Yi flicks a powerful left-handed pass that chases Davis down. Davis catches it and finishes with a thunderous dunk, causing the crowd to roar like a tsunami. The commentators exclaim that while they love the dunk from AD, they can no longer ignore Wang Yi's incredible defensive presence on the floor. He has shut down Leonard for 3 consecutive possessions. To make Leonard struggle like that 3 times in a row is something rarely seen in this league. It's clear now that everyone had underestimated Wang Yi's defense. Great shooting and great defense make him the perfect 3-and-D player. With James and Davis on the floor, the job for the Lakers' role players becomes quite simple: defend and hit threes. And those two things are exactly what Wang Yi provides. He is a perfect match for the two superstars. The Lakers should probably consider giving him a guaranteed contract. On the court, hearing the commentators' praise, Wang Yi lets a meaningful smile play across his lips. A 3-and-D player, his ambitions go much further. His heart is set on much more than that. With the lead cut to 10, the Lakers go on the attack as James brings the ball up the court once again. He feigns a drive to collapse the defense while looking for Wang Yi. However, the Clippers are prepared this time, utilizing a 4-man zone to guard the paint. That leaves Beverly to shadow Wang Yi. He sticks to him like glue, initiating heavy physical contact while unleashing a constant stream of trash talk. He mocks Wang Yi, saying those two triples only happened because he wasn't defending him, and dares him to try it again now. Beverly sneers that Wang Yi won't even touch the ball. We know his reputation. He uses constant physical play and insults to provoke his opponent's temper. If you lose your cool, he wins. Wang Yi knows this, so he stays calm. But he also won't let Beverly just wrap him up. He moves proactively, curling around a screen set by Davis. A high-quality 3-and-D player can't just stand at the arc and wait for the ball. You have to work for your space, and sure enough, Wang Yi finds an opening. James delivers the pass with perfect timing. Wang Yi catches it at the three-point line, but Beverly fights through the screen and lunges toward him. He can't actually block the shot from there. But as he flies in, he swings his right hand aggressively toward Wang Yi's face. Wang Yi flinches slightly as he releases the ball. That split second of psychological pressure is enough. The ball rattles off the rim. As for Beverly, his hand stops just inches from Wang Yi's face. He pulls back at the last second, avoiding any actual contact. Wang Yi frowns. Beverly is known for playing dirty, so the reaction was only natural. He instinctively thought he was about to be hit. A slap to the face is one thing, but a poke to the eye would be far worse. It seems his mental fortitude isn't quite bulletproof yet. But as the saying goes, one learns from every mistake. He takes the lesson to heart. Meanwhile, the haters in the comments see the miss and immediately start celebrating, claiming his true colors are finally showing. They argue his luck has run out and that he only looked good because the defense was soft. Now that Beverly is playing physical, he's folding. They mock his physical strength, saying the mad dog hasn't even started biting and Wang Yi is already falling apart. They tell him to go home. They claim he's embarrassing his people. Back on the court, however, Wang Yi isn't discouraged by a single missed shot. With a 45% shooting average, they can't all go in. He turns back to face Leonard, who is attacking behind a screen from their center. A screen from Zubac finally allows the defense to be shaken, leading to a mid-range jumper that pushes the lead back to 12. As we return to the action, James takes the inbound pass. James glances over and asks Wang Yi if he still has the nerve to shoot. Wang Yi simply offers a confident smile in return. As long as James is willing to pass, he is ready. James wonders where this sudden surge of confidence comes from. To be honest, Wang Yi's form tonight hasn't been quite as explosive as the last game, yet his self-assurance remains unshakable. Perhaps it stems from yesterday's training. James muses while bringing the ball up the court. Meanwhile, Wang Yi has already circled around a screen from Davis to reach the left wing. He stands with his back to the basket while Beverly, acting like a persistent mad dog, fights through the defense in hot pursuit. James's pass is already on its way. Wang Yi catches the ball and, while still facing away from the rim, suddenly leaps into the air. He twists his body mid-flight, leaning back his upper torso while his right leg extends slightly to maintain his balance. He raises his left arm and flicks his wrist. This shot doesn't follow a graceful arc. Instead, it takes a much sharper path. The trajectory is flat and the ball travels with incredible speed, looking more like a high-velocity cannonball. With a loud bang, it crashes through the hoop. At that moment, Beverly is caught completely off guard. He assumed Wang Yi would at least turn around before jumping, never imagining he would launch himself while still facing the other way. By the time Beverly realizes what is happening, it's too late to contest the shot. He only hears the rattle of the rim as the stadium DJ announces a three-pointer from Wang Yi. Hearing that unfamiliar Eastern name, Beverly punches the air and mutters a curse under his breath. He immediately goes back to his usual tactics. He continues to spew trash talk, telling Wang Yi he just got lucky and that his luck will surely run out soon. Wang Yi, however, remains composed and ignores the chatter entirely. This indifference starts to irritate Beverly. He has defended many stars who lose their focus when provoked by his insults and constant physical pestering. Usually, they get frustrated and start making mistakes, which plays right into the Clippers' hands. But this man is different. He doesn't seem to care at all. Despite the constant barrage of insults, Wang Yi isn't angry. Instead, he wears a faint, dismissive smile. It's the kind of look an adult gives to a rowdy child who is trying to test their patience. The adult simply smiles because, in the end, it's just a child being difficult. We have to admit, Beverly's imagination is almost as fierce as his defense. On the next play, he brings the ball across half-court, looking to find Leonard for an answer. This time, Wang Yi isn't sticking like glue to Leonard. He stays a step back, his eyes occasionally darting over toward Paul George. Beverly notices this. He assumes Wang Yi is trying to take away the passing lane to George, so he feels safe throwing the ball toward Leonard. But at that exact moment, Wang Yi lunges forward like a hunting leopard, intercepting the ball midair. It turns out that looking at Paul George was nothing more than a clever deception. It was a classic trick, making Beverly believe he was distracted by George, while in reality, he was tracking Leonard's every move. After the steal, Wang Yi quickly pushes the ball up court with his left hand, unaware that a shadow is already tailing him closely. That shadow is Beverly, who pursues him with the tenacity of a mad dog. With his right hand injured, Wang Yi's pace is naturally a bit slower than usual. By the time he crosses half court, Beverly has caught up, constantly reaching in to disrupt his rhythm. The guard continues his barrage of trash talk, swearing that Wang Yi won't score another point. Wang Yi glances sideways and sees Caruso trailing. In any normal situation, this would be a perfect 2-on-1 opportunity, but the physical pressure makes a one-handed pass nearly impossible. So, he decides to take the risk himself. Reaching the three-point line, he suddenly stops and rises for a jumper. Beverly's reaction is far too slow. The defender is sent flying 5 meters away by the sheer momentum. Wang Yi raises his arms and flicks his wrist. As the shot leaves his hand, the roar of the crowd surges like a tide. He turns to see Beverly's brow furrowed in deep frustration. Beverly stares back, finding this newcomer utterly unrecognizable. He has played against players from the East before, but in his memory, they were rarely this fast or explosive. He usually wouldn't deign to guard them, yet this man is different. His shots are landing like sharp daggers, piercing straight through the heart of the defense. Seeing the momentum shift, Clippers coach Tyronn Lue quickly calls for another timeout. Only 2 minutes have passed since the last one, yet the 12-point lead has already been cut down to 6. In this home arena, if the lead vanishes, the momentum will be impossible to reclaim. As the Clippers players gather around, Lue points directly at Wang Yi and gives Leonard a clear instruction. He is now the primary defender. Beverly feels a sting of disappointment. His competitive spirit had finally been ignited, and he wanted to finish this duel, but it seems the coach no longer trusts his defense. To be honest, it's hard to blame the coach. Under Beverly's watch, Wang Yi has hit 2 more threes and snatched 2 steals. In those 2 short minutes, he was effectively dismantled. Leonard watches from a distance, remaining silent as he considers the challenge. He simply nods. Leonard is a man of few words, but his physical presence, standing over 2 meters tall with a massive wingspan, speaks for him. Combined with those legendary large hands, he is a nightmare for any ball handler. Once those long arms are extended, the game changes completely. One wrong move and the ball is gone, or your wrist is bruised. His defense is known as the Death Claw, a nightmare that many elite scorers have faced. Even a legend like LeBron has been left frustrated by his suffocating pressure. Naturally, when an opponent catches fire, Leonard is the one sent to extinguish it. Over on the Lakers bench, Coach Vogel is briefing the squad on the next phase. We've hit a few threes, but that doesn't mean the whole team is hot yet. In fact, only Wang Yi has found his rhythm from deep. The Clippers know this, so they will likely stick to their 4-man zone defense while keeping a shadow on him. They will have one man dedicated to chasing Wang Yi everywhere. Vogel looks at him and insists he cannot stop moving. Wang Yi nods, understanding the assignment. He plans to use screens to find open space. Vogel adds a clever twist. He doesn't just have to use his teammates. He can cut through the defender's own zone. By weaving through their formation, he can lose his shadow. Wang Yi's eyes light up at the thought. It's essentially forcing the Clippers to set screens for him. Vogel nods with a smile. If they do this, the Clippers' defense will fall into chaos, and in that chaos, our opportunity finally arrives. LeBron gives Wang Yi a supportive pat on the shoulder, telling him the comeback rests on his shoulders. Anthony Davis adds an encouraging tap as well. They are counting on him to lead them to victory. Meanwhile, THD, who was just subbed out for Wang Yi, looks on with a touch of melancholy. He knows that if Wang Yi continues this stellar performance, his own spot in the rotation might be gone. Such is the cold, hard reality of professional sports. When you perform, you are the hero. When you don't, you are invisible. Soon, the timeout ends, and we return to the action as the Clippers take the floor. Wang Yi continues to pressure Leonard, but Paul George steps up for the Clippers, sinking a mid-range jumper. The lead stretches back to 8 points. As the Lakers transition to offense, the Clippers stick to their plan, a 4-man zone with Leonard acting as Wang Yi's shadow, denying him the ball. The commentators are quick to notice the shift. Look at that. Leonard is actually guarding Wang Yi. For a 10-day contract player, this is a massive sign of respect. To be guarded by Leonard is an honor in itself, but we have to wonder if Wang Yi can still hit those threes under such elite pressure. Leonard is taller and stronger than Beverly. Scoring over him will be a monumental task. Across the ocean, the live stream chats are exploding with anticipation. The critics who were silenced moments ago are suddenly vocal again, claiming Beverly was simply too short and that Wang Yi's luck has finally run out. They believe the Death Claw is no joke. One bold commenter even bets that if Wang Yi hits 2 more threes over Leonard, he'll perform a disgusting stunt live. That same brother Xiang, who vanished earlier, is back to his antics. Meanwhile, back at the Staples Center, the tension in the air is thick enough to cut the game resumes, and Leonard, moving with the cold precision of a machine, stares Wang Yi down, refusing to give him an inch of space to receive the ball. His long arms and massive hands wave in front of Wang Yi like the branches of a thick tree, making a pass nearly impossible. This is the terror of the Death Claw. Suddenly, Wang Yi spins and darts toward the interior. Leonard, naturally, follows him step for step. As we see him enter the paint, he heads straight into the Clippers' zone. He weaves around their power forward and sprints toward the left corner beyond the three-point line. Leonard is much larger, and as he tries to navigate the traffic, he finds he isn't nearly as agile as Wang Yi. His own teammates can't simply move out of his way, or their entire defensive formation would crumble instantly. Seeing Wang Yi reach the perimeter, Leonard desperately shoves past his teammates to give chase, but by then, the opening has already been created. Wang Yi catches the pass from Caruso and raises his arms. Leonard is still 3 meters away, but seeing the shot coming, he leaps high into the air like a giant bird. He lunges toward Wang Yi with everything he has. One has to admit, his height, vertical leap, and wingspan are nothing short of elite, a true freak of nature. Even from that distance, his jump is enough to completely shroud Wang Yi, making a clean shot impossible. But Wang Yi is no fool. This is merely a pump fake. He waits for the soaring Leonard to fly past him before finally releasing the ball. With a crisp swish, the three-pointer finds its home. The lead is cut to just 5 points. Once again, the arena erupts like a tidal wave as the big screen flashes to the man who just hit the shot. The stadium DJ's high-pitched voice echoes through the rafters once more. 3 points from Wang Yi. On the other end, the Clippers look to answer. Wang Yi sticks to Leonard like glue. Leonard receives the ball and, seeing the persistent defense, turns his shoulder to protect his dribble while taking a step. He uses his frame to bump Wang Yi back, intending to force a mid-range jumper. However, with the Death Claw card active, Wang Yi's reactions are lightning fast. The moment he is bumped, he recovers and steps forward. Leonard has just raised the ball and hasn't even left the ground when Wang Yi swings his left hand. With a thunderous block right to the face, he swats Leonard's shot away. Caruso, ever the opportunist, reacts instantly and scoops up the loose ball. He pushes the pace toward the front court, and Wang Yi is right there with him, sprinting toward the corner. Paul George is already in pursuit. However, Caruso can't take it to the rim himself, so he spots Wang Yi in the left corner and fires a pass. Wang Yi catches it and prepares to jump, but Beverly has arrived. Once again, Wang Yi uses a pump fake. Beverly is completely fooled, flying right past him. But by this time, Leonard has also managed to recover and close in. Wang Yi performs yet another fake, sending Leonard flying as well. However, if he shoots now, he'll surely be blocked by a recovering Beverly. Wang Yi takes a massive step to the right, avoiding Beverly's reaching fingers, and with a flick of his wrist, the ball glides through the net. Another three-pointer finds its mark, and the lead is cut to just 2 points. We can hear the sheer brilliance of this play in the crowd's roar. It truly is beautiful to watch. He blocks Leonard on one end, then returns to shake off both Beverly and Leonard for a clinical three-pointer. This is the elite two-way player the Lakers have been searching for. One has to wonder, between Leonard and Wang Yi, who truly owns the Death Claw? The big screen replays his transition from defense to offense over and over, while the commentators can hardly contain their excitement. They call him the Lakers' ultimate X-Factor this year. This sequence was a masterpiece of basketball, though some find his previous obscurity baffling. One commentator speaks the blunt truth. As an Eastern player, he simply wasn't given the opportunities he deserved by certain coaches. Of course, they don't dwell on the politics for long, moving on quickly as the domestic broadcast team shares in the joy. Wang Ming notes that while Wang Yi's shooting percentage isn't as absurdly high as the last game, his overall impact is undeniable. Su Xing nods in agreement. If we look at the stats, Leonard hasn't scored a single point since Wang Yi began guarding him. His defense is suffocating, sticking to his opponent to deny every pass. He might be shorter than Leonard, with a smaller wingspan, but his intensity is the very definition of a Death Claw defense. Online, the fans are already starting to mock the doubters. They ask where the people went who claimed Leonard would destroy Wang Yi. The critics, it seems, have suddenly gone very quiet. One fan jokes that the loudest haters must be feeling quite full after eating their words today. The trolls have retreated into the shadows. That is the nature of the critic. After all, they are loudest when you stumble and silent when you soar. Despite being 10 centimeters shorter than Leonard, Wang Yi's verticality is proving to be a problem that the Clippers simply cannot solve. On the next Lakers possession, we see Wang Yi dive back into the paint, weaving through 4 defenders like a ghost. Leonard is elite at guarding the ball, but he struggles to track someone who moves this much without it. The defense is in shambles. Wang Yi sprints back to the perimeter. Leonard, remembering his last mistake, chases hard, but Wang Yi uses LeBron's massive frame as a screen. LeBron hands him the ball, and Wang Yi rises for the shot. Leonard tries to fight through the screen, but he stumbles and collides with Wang Yi's side. Because of his immense confidence, Wang Yi's release is lightning fast. Even before his form is fully set, the ball is already airborne, just as the referee's whistle blows. The shot he launched finds the bottom of the net for a three-pointer, and the referee signals a foul on Leonard. The basket counts, and Wang Yi earns a trip to the line. He sinks the free throw with ease, and suddenly the score is tied at 86 apiece. The Lakers have clawed back from a 20-point deficit to level the playing field. To be honest, erasing such a lead in just half a quarter is terrifying speed, and we can all see that this momentum shift stems entirely from Wang Yi's presence. His Death Claw defense neutralized the Clippers' primary weapons, while his steals and timely threes opened the game wide for the Lakers. The arena's volume has reached its peak. Nearly 20,000 fans are on their feet, cheering as the Lakers' morale hits an all-time high. Wang Yi looks up at Leonard, searching for a reaction. But Leonard remains as expressionless as ever, looking very much like a machine devoid of human emotion. Meanwhile, on the Clippers' sideline, things are getting tense. Coach Tyronn Lue is clearly anxious seeing a 20-point lead vanish in an instant, yet he hesitates to call a timeout. In the last 5 minutes, he has already burned through 2. If he uses another now, he'll have nothing left for the critical moments of the fourth quarter. Instead, he simply shouts from the sidelines to his stars. Leonard and George both turn to look at their coach. Lue says nothing, merely offering them a deep, meaningful gaze that speaks volumes. The duo naturally understands the message. They need to figure this out themselves. This is Lue's signature coaching style, a philosophy he perfected back with the Cavaliers. Back then, his strategy for LeBron James was simple. If there's a problem inside, ask LeBron. If there's a problem outside, ask LeBron. It was quite straightforward, really. There was even a time when LeBron was so exhausted he was on the verge of collapse, and Lue called 2 timeouts in a row, not for tactics, but just to let him breathe. Only he could pull off such a bold move. So, faced with Wang Yi's sudden defensive surge and scoring barrage, he leaves the solution to his core players. However, while these 2 stars are elite, their ability to improvise a way out of this specific trap is proving to be a bit lacking. Out of options, Lue turns to Rondo. Rondo has been in the league for many years and is a seasoned veteran. He is, quite literally, an old fox of the court with a wealth of experience. His tactical mind is exactly what the team needs right now to regain their composure. Lue places the burden on him, and Rondo, accepting the responsibility without a word, nods and heads onto the floor. Over the next few minutes, the game shifts again. With Rondo orchestrating the play, the Clippers' offense finally finds its rhythm. On the other side, Wang Yi's shooting has forced the defense to abandon their zone. The lead begins to trade hands back and forth. As the third quarter ends, only 2 points separate the teams, and we see the Lakers players heading to the bench. As the players swarm over to high-five him, Wang Yi feels a surge of genuine emotion, remembering how different things were during his 2 years of wandering the league. Back then, players wouldn't even look him in the eye, let alone offer a hand. Yet now, after only 2 games, he has earned the respect of the entire roster. We see him take a moment to reflect on this change before his gaze shifts toward the Clippers bench, eventually locking onto Leonard. Deep down, he hopes for the day when the Death Claw defense isn't just a system boost, but a skill that truly belongs to him. To be honest, that's a high bar. The fourth quarter begins shortly after, with the Lakers resting LeBron James, while Wang Yi also remains on the bench to recover his strength. Though he only played 8 minutes, the physical toll was immense, especially while using that suffocating defense to neutralize a machine like Leonard. Wang Yi has proven himself to be a premium 3D player, the perfect partner for LeBron, so Coach Vogel plans to wait and sub them back in together. Without LeBron, Anthony Davis is left to lead the bench unit, but the Clippers have Rondo on the floor, orchestrating a very smooth offensive flow. Meanwhile, the Lakers' substitutes continue their blacksmith impression, missing shot after shot until, with 8 minutes left in the game, the Clippers have managed to stretch their lead back out to 9 points. And this is where things take a truly disastrous turn for our Lakers. After attempting a block, Davis suddenly clutches his hip and begins to limp, causing a heavy silence to fall over the entire arena. The team trainer rushes out to help Davis move his left leg before eventually helping him back to the locker room for further evaluation. Word soon arrives that Davis will not return to the game. LeBron's expression grows grim as he approaches Vogel with a look of absolute determination. He tells the coach he needs to go back in. Under normal rotations, this would be his rest period, but he knows he can't afford to sit any longer. Even though it's just a regular season game, these two are crosstown rivals, and the Clippers are the Lakers' biggest obstacle in the West. He is determined to win this. Seeing Davis injured and LeBron demanding to play, Coach Vogel weighs his options and finally gives a nod of approval. Vogel then turns his gaze toward Wang Yi, telling him it's his time to shine again since his three-point shooting has been the sharpest on the team. Naturally, if LeBron is on the court, he needs a shooter like Wang Yi by his side. Vogel also turns to Drummond, telling him to focus on the glass. He specifically instructs Drummond to protect the rebounds at all costs. Drummond lacks a perimeter game to stretch the floor, but with Wang Yi's reliable shooting, the Lakers can still punish the defense if they collapse inside. If the defense stays under the basket, he can punish them from deep. If they step out, it opens the lane for LeBron to drive. Soon, our three players are subbed back in. At this moment, the Lakers lineup consists of LeBron, Drummond, Caruso, Pope, and Wang Yi. It's a formidable group. Aside from Drummond being a bit slower on his feet, this unit has almost no defensive weaknesses. As play resumes, Wang Yi is constantly on the move, hunting for an opening. This time, his shadow is Paul George, a top-tier defender often called a human highlight reel for the wrong reasons. However, that nickname only proves how elite his defense is. You don't end up in those posters unless you're brave enough to guard the best players in the clutch. Drummond uses his massive frame to set a high-quality screen, allowing Wang Yi to slip past and momentarily lose George's coverage. LeBron, possessing elite court vision, spots the opening immediately and fires a pass. Wang Yi catches it at the 45-degree mark on the left wing. Without a single moment of adjustment, he lets it fly. The ball banks off the glass and in, cutting the lead down to just 6 points. On the other end, Wang Yi continues his suffocating deathclaw defense on Leonard, while LeBron locks onto Paul George with intense focus. Though LeBron's age prevents him from playing this way for long stretches, the defensive pressure he exerts in these crucial possessions is truly terrifying. Caruso stays glued to Rondo, who drives and looks to facilitate, but finds George locked down and Leonard completely smothered by Wang Yi. Rondo is forced to kick it to Beverly on the wing, but Pope's aggressive closeout rattles him, forcing a pass back to Rondo to reset. Rondo tries to orchestrate once more, but seeing his teammates neutralized, he's forced into a desperate three-pointer as the shot clock expires. The shot clangs off the iron. The Lakers secure the rebound, and LeBron immediately outlets the ball to a sprinting Pope for a transition dunk. The lead is now down to 4. Over the next minute, the Lakers' defensive intensity is so high that the Clippers fail to score a single point. Meanwhile, 2 fast breaks, a pair of LeBron free throws, and another Wang Yi three-pointer have completely erased the deficit. Just like that, it's a tie game. The Clippers are forced into a timeout as the arena atmosphere reaches a fever pitch. Walking to the bench, LeBron gives Wang Yi a fierce high five. In the streaming chat rooms, the haters have mostly vanished, and the loudmouthed brother Xiang is nowhere to be found. Well, except for a few stubborn souls. Some still complain about his left-handed shot being weird or call him a stat patter, even mocking his plain hairstyle as being too ordinary for the NBA. But back at the Staples Center, as the timeout ends and the Clippers return to the floor, the reality of the game tells a very different story. On defense, Wang Yi is still tasked with guarding Leonard. But since his death claw trial has expired, he decides there is only one option left: pure, unadulterated hustle. Whenever Leonard tries to receive the ball, Wang Yi is there, fighting for position and initiating constant physical contact. Even though he is at a physical disadvantage, he knows that relentless pressure will drain Leonard's stamina. When Leonard finally does get the ball, Wang Yi becomes a constant shadow, disrupting every move. He makes sure Leonard is uncomfortable whether catching or dribbling. And as we know, when a player loses their comfort zone, they lose their rhythm. Once that rhythm is gone, the shooting percentage inevitably drops. Sure enough, over the next few minutes, Leonard goes a dismal 1 for 4 from mid-range and misses his only 3. Meanwhile, Paul George is held to 1 for 3 shooting under LeBron's watch. On the Lakers side, Wang Yi's heavy defensive workload is starting to affect his own shot. His legs feel heavy, yet he still manages to knock down 2 of his 4 three-point attempts during this stretch. This shift in momentum gives the Lakers a 5-point lead. However, the Clippers' sharpshooters suddenly find their mark, hitting consecutive threes to claw back. Even Rondo, the veteran floor general, manages to sink a crucial shot from deep. The suspense holds firm until the very end. With only 28 seconds remaining on the clock, the score stands at 117 to 115 in favor of the Clippers. It is Lakers ball. At this moment, whether in the arena or watching from a screen at home, every fan can feel their heart racing and their palms growing damp. Almost every spectator in the building is on their feet. Imagine the tension. Thousands of people held in suspense by a single orange ball and a ticking clock. Many fans have their hands clasped in prayer, heads bowed in silent hope. On the giant jumbotron, the cameras flicker back and forth between LeBron and Wang Yi. This next possession is everything. LeBron is the leader, the brain, and the engine of this team, so it would be perfectly natural for him to take the final shot. But Wang Yi's performance from deep has been nothing short of terrifying today, hitting 8 of 12. Giving him the ball seems just as viable. So who will it be? The atmosphere is so heavy that no one even notices the cheerleaders during the timeout. Even the Lakers bench players are starting to succumb to the nerves. Some are gripping their hands so tightly their knuckles are white, whispering silent prayers. To be honest, the pressure in the building is almost suffocating. Caruso wipes away sweat incessantly, while Drummond gulps down water. Yet, strangely enough, Wang Yi isn't nervous at all. His eyes are shining with a fierce light. His blood is boiling. Although his physical energy was depleted moments ago, the sheer adrenaline surging through his veins makes him forget his exhaustion entirely. To be part of a battle like this, his only feeling is pure excitement. It's a trait he's had since childhood. The higher the stakes, the more thrilled he becomes. He loves the competition. He craves it. It's a quality he was born with, something Coach Vogel and the rest of the world are about to witness firsthand. Coach Vogel observes Wang Yi and is quite surprised by his excitement. He has rarely seen a player who thrives so much on the tension of a high-stakes game. Usually, players like this perform their best in the most critical moments. He can't help but ask, "Wang, if I let you take this shot, how would you feel?" The other Lakers players are a bit skeptical when they hear this. While Wang Yi's performance has been excellent today, this is a game-defining moment. Can a player on a 10-day contract really handle that kind of weight? We know that as the clock winds down, the psychological pressure only grows heavier. Under such immense pressure, would his three-pointer remain steady? To be honest, even many starters on other teams would hesitate to shoot in a moment like this. Usually, these shots are reserved strictly for the franchise stars. So for the coach to ask Wang Yi this question is truly unexpected. However, Wang Yi doesn't pause for even a second. He responds immediately and without a hint of hesitation. I think it's a great idea. Hearing this, some of his teammates are even more astonished. Where does a 10-day contract player get this kind of confidence? He doesn't bother explaining that he thrives on pressure. Instead, he simply says, I'm just a temporary player. If I make it, people will say I'm cool and the praise will pour in. If I miss, everyone will just blame the person who passed it to me. After all, who gives such a crucial shot to a guy on a 10-day contract? He concludes that the pressure is on them, not him. This logic leaves the team speechless, but it also makes several of them break into a much-needed laugh. In such a suffocating atmosphere, his words act as a perfect release valve for the team's nerves. But then, LeBron speaks up with a specific plan. He tells Wang Yi not to run a play, but to wait in ambush at the left corner. LeBron will drive into the paint, knowing the Clippers won't expect him to pass to a rookie. The defense will surely collapse on LeBron in the paint, and that's when he'll kick the ball out. Wang Yi nods with a simple, good. It's just one word, but everyone can feel the burning desire for battle contained within it. We return to the court as the Lakers prepare to inbound. LeBron brings the ball across half court. Since the Lakers are down by 2, they have a choice. Go for the tie with a 2-pointer or the win with a 3. Following the plan, Wang Yi stays stationed in the corner without moving. Seeing this, the Clippers head coach, Tyronn Lue, feels a small sense of relief. He assumes Vogel wouldn't trust a 10-day contract player with the final shot, or perhaps the kid simply can't handle the pressure and is frozen in place. Thinking he has the play figured out, Lue shouts to Paul George from the sidelines to focus on helping inside and protecting the paint. LeBron's three-pointer hasn't been falling today, and Lue is certain that the King will try to force his way to the rim to save the game. Paul George nods, remembering how LeBron has crushed his hopes with game winners before. This time, he is determined not to let the King hit another clutch shot. At this moment, the claw Kawhi Leonard is guarding LeBron, but after a sharp crossover, LeBron finds a half step of space and uses his strength to push past. He drives hard into the paint, and even though 2 defenders are already waiting for him there, Paul George still feels uneasy and rushes over to help. Just as George commits to the double team, LeBron fires a precision pass right over George's shoulder, sending the ball flying toward the corner. George realizes his mistake instantly and spins around to lung toward Wang Yi, but it's already too late. By the time Wang catches the ball, George is 4 meters away. Wang Yi catches and shoots without a single hint of hesitation, sending the ball on a high arc toward the basket as we hold our collective breath. Every eye in the arena is glued to that orange sphere. Clippers players and fans alike feel their hearts tighten, knowing how lethal Wang's three-pointer has been today. With the game on the line, the tension is high enough to make nearly 20,000 spectators feel their hearts leap into their throats. Under the gaze of the entire stadium, the ball finally descends toward the rim, only to let out a heavy, metallic clank as it hits the front iron. The ball bounces high into the air, drawing a collective groan of disappointment from the crowd, while the Clippers coach and fans finally breathe a sigh of relief. It seems this Lakers' #1 player couldn't handle the psychological weight of the moment after all. At such a critical juncture, his nerves finally frayed. Perhaps it was the most important shot of the game, and seeing it miss, many Lakers fans are already beginning to grumble in their hearts. They wonder why the ball was ever passed to a 10-day contract player, as the commentator shouts excitedly, "Oh no, why pass it to Wang?" He admits Wang Yi played brilliantly today, but reminds us that the kid hasn't played a single second of clutch professional basketball before now. He simply couldn't withstand such immense psychological pressure, making LeBron's pass look like a poor choice, one the King might soon regret. In the live broadcast booth, the commentators share that same sense of regret, with Wang Ming noting how unfortunate it was for Wang Yi to miss that 3. Su Kun shakes his head, noting that a make here would have proven Wang Yi has the big heart needed to secure a guaranteed contract later on. Surprisingly, the live comment section is silent. The ball has bounced off the rim, but the game isn't over yet, and the suffocating tension has silenced even the haters. As the ball hangs high in the air, for Clippers players crowd the paint to secure the rebound, while most of the Lakers remain stationed outside the arc. Aside from LeBron, the rest of the Lakers are simply too far away to help, and it looks as though their chance at a comeback is slipping away. The rebound is quickly secured by Rondo of the Clippers, who immediately looks to dribble it out, but before he can even put the ball down, a pair of hands suddenly appears from the side. Those hands wrap firmly around the ball and, with a sudden burst of strength, literally rip it away from Rondo's grasp, a clean, physical steal in broad daylight. The thief is none other than Alex Caruso, the Lakers fan favorite, and in an instant, the tide turns as 4 Clippers players immediately swarm him. Caruso is wrapped up like a holiday gift by the defenders, but he spots Wang Yi still standing in the left corner. Without a second to lose, he makes his move. Caruso leaps toward the baseline to create a passing lane, and while suspended in midair, he flings the ball toward the perimeter just as we see the play unfold. When the fans in the arena see Caruso passing to Wang Yi once again, their hearts collectively sink, and the commentator's voice reaches a frantic pace. He shouts that Caruso has made the steal but passed it back to Wang, the same Wang who just missed. Surely he won't shoot again. Who will he pass to? LeBron is open on the perimeter, and there is plenty of time left on the clock, so the logical choice would be for Wang to reset the offense with the king. However, Wang Yi isn't thinking about logic. He sees a wide-open look and knows that passing up such an opportunity would be a waste. As for the psychological pressure, well, that's almost laughable. For a man who craves the heat of battle, he doesn't even know what pressure feels like, even as Paul George rushes back to close out. But even as he catches the ball, there isn't a single hint of doubt in Wang's eyes. There is only cold determination as he bends his knees and begins his leap. He raises his arms and flicks his wrist in one fluid, seamless motion, a textbook shot, even though Paul George is closing the distance with incredible speed. Because the distance was too great, George can only watch helplessly as the ball sails over his fingertips, and once again, the breath hitches in the throats of the crowd. The commentators are practically chanting in anticipation as the ball glides silently through the air of the Staples Center, which has fallen into a haunting hush. Every single person has stopped breathing, their eyes locked onto that orange sphere as it traces a perfect arc through the sky toward its final destination. Then, a crisp swish echoes through the arena, that satisfying sound of leather meeting nylon, as a white wave ripples through the center of the net. The three-pointer is good, and the Staples Center erupts into a deafening roar, sounding like a volcano finally blowing its top after years of silence. Across the ocean in the broadcast booth, Wang Ming pumps his fist with excitement, shouting about how incredible and explosive that play truly was. Su Kun adjusts his glasses, his voice trembling with emotion as he remarks that Wang Yi is the real deal. To hit a shot like that in such a clutch moment takes a massive heart. On the live stream, the haters who were ready to pounce have suddenly gone silent, as if they've all lost their voices at once, leaving the screen flooded with praise. The live stream chat is absolutely exploding with praise, but on the court, the 5 Lakers players aren't even looking at the screen as they focus on the final seconds. The Clippers have already burned through their timeouts and have none left, so the Lakers must retreat and set up their defense immediately for the Clippers' final attack. The ball is naturally handed over to Leonard for the last play. As Leonard moves, Wang Yi reaches out and firmly grabs his jersey to stop the play. Since the Lakers haven't reached the team foul limit yet, this tactical foul doesn't result in free throws, forcing the Clippers to inbound the ball once again. Paul George takes the inbound pass while Wang Yi sticks to Leonard like glue, refusing to give him even an inch of space to receive the ball. George looks for Leonard several times, but the passing lanes are smothered. Remembering how Wang Yi stole the ball twice before, he hesitates to risk the pass. He is forced to abandon the idea and takes a desperate, contested shot from the perimeter right in LeBron James's face. With a heavy thud, the ball clangs off the backboard just as the red light illuminates and the final buzzer sounds. The game is over, 118-117. The Lakers have secured a narrow 1-point victory, and the Staples Center erupts into a sea of cheers as the players raise their arms in triumph. Caruso is the first to rush over, pulling Wang Yi into an excited embrace and shouting that they won thanks to that clutch three-pointer. LeBron and the others walk over as well, with the king telling Wang that this is his moment and he should savor every second of it. As a veteran of the game, LeBron shares a bit of his wisdom while Tucker, Gasol, and Harrell all line up to give Wang Yi high fives. The Clippers players show their sportsmanship by coming over to embrace the Lakers. Leonard hugs LeBron first before making his way toward Wang Yi. Leonard is a man of few words, simply stating that Wang is a respectable opponent, to which Wang briefly replies that the feeling is mutual. Leonard turns and heads for the tunnel, but during that brief embrace, Wang could feel the burning competitive fire still radiating from him. That is the nature of superstars. The stronger the opponent they face, the more their fighting spirit grows. Paul George then approaches for his turn. George tells Wang that after today, he will certainly remember his name and looks forward to their next duel, a sentiment Wang politely echoes. As the players begin to head for the locker room, a staff member stops Wang Yi with an apologetic smile, explaining that he can't leave just yet. There is a post-game interview waiting with a reporter from his home country, an honor for most players, though for many, it's just the start of a long night. For the league's biggest stars, these post-game duties can be a chore, but the staff member's apologetic face shows just how much Wang Yi's status has grown. He has clearly moved up a level in their eyes. Upon hearing the reporter is from China, Wang nods immediately and tells them to bring her over. In a foreign land, the chance to see a fellow countryman is something he naturally welcomes, and the staff member hurries off to fetch the guest. Soon, a beautiful reporter arrives with her cameraman in tow. As Wang turns, he sees her long hair flowing and a striking presence. She is wearing a tight, white dress that perfectly accentuates her figure, and Wang recognizes her instantly as Zhou Lingyan. He had actually sat for an interview with her when he first entered the NBA, and most Chinese fans are quite familiar with her work. She is a regular fixture for post-game interviews, though her standing in the NBA isn't quite at the level of the giants like TNT or ESPN. Because of that, she usually doesn't get the chance to interview the superstars under normal circumstances, often settling for role players instead. She greets him warmly, saying it's good to see him again. After all, this isn't their first meeting, and they share a professional history. Hearing Mandarin in an NBA arena feels incredibly familiar to Wang, and he offers a genuine smile as he greets Zhou Lingyan in return. She begins by offering her congratulations on his incredible performance tonight and for hitting that massive, game-winning shot. It was the kind of play that defines a career, and she asks him how he is feeling deep down in this very moment. Wang takes a moment to look thoughtful, as if carefully organizing his words, and Zhou Lingyan waits patiently without rushing him. She knows that all NBA players receive media training to ensure they know exactly what to say, and more importantly, what not to say. After a brief pause, he seems to have his thoughts in order. He takes a deep breath and gives her his honest answer. He simply says, "Great," which catches Zhou Lingyan off guard and makes her burst into a fit of spontaneous laughter. To be honest, preparing for so long only to give a one-word answer is quite funny, and even the cameraman's lens begins to shake from his chuckling. She tells him he's truly humorous before moving on to her final question regarding the many fans back home who are supporting him. Wang nods and tells her that he won't let his supporters down, but as for the haters, they can say whatever they want. He won't give them the satisfaction. Zhou Lingyan is slightly stunned by his bluntness. On the surface, he seems so mild-mannered, but she didn't expect such a sharp edge. She hadn't expected him to be so direct, but it makes sense when we consider that his lack of results over the last 2 years caused many fans back home to lose interest. It was only natural, really. The critics had been relentless in their claims that he simply couldn't play at this level anymore. To say he didn't feel any resentment deep down would be a lie. It's impossible not to feel the sting of such constant negativity. Now, after such a brilliant performance, he finally feels a sense of vindication. These words are his long-awaited response to those who doubted him for so long. Realizing this, Zhou Lingyan smiles and thanks Wang Yi for the interview, adding that she looks forward to seeing more of his spectacular plays in the next game. Wang nods and bids her farewell. However, as he heads toward the player tunnel, he suddenly pauses in surprise. There, standing at the entrance of the tunnel, is LeBron James himself, waiting specifically for him. It is a tradition for James and Anthony Davis to wait for any role player who puts on an exceptional performance before heading to the locker room together. After tonight's heroics and that game-winning shot, Wang has certainly earned this honor. James claps him on the shoulder with a grin. He tells Wang to join him for the post-game press conference, reminding him that he predicted his luck was about to change, to which Wang can only laugh and offer his thanks. After a quick soak in the locker room, we see Wang following James to his very first official NBA post-game press conference. He handles the reporters' questions with remarkable poise, giving flawless answers and even cracking a few jokes that keep the room laughing. Meanwhile, over at the Staples Center merchandise stands, a young blonde boy of about 10 years old comes running in, looking quite frantic. Clutching $10 in his hand, he tells the clerk he wants a number 1 Lakers jersey, but the staff member simply shakes his head. The clerk apologizes, explaining they don't have any number 1 jerseys in stock, which leaves the boy looking utterly confused. He insists he wants the jersey of the player who hit the game winner, Wang's jersey, but the clerk just offers a sympathetic smile. He explains that because Wang is currently on a short-term contract, the store doesn't carry his merchandise. These 10-day contracts are non-guaranteed. A player could be cut immediately after a game, or simply move on to another team once the time is up. Naturally, the team won't risk printing jerseys for someone who might not be there tomorrow, but the boy is starting to get desperate. He asks what he's supposed to do since he only wants Wang's jersey. The clerk shrugs and suggests he leave his phone number just in case. The clerk promises that as soon as his jersey becomes available, they will notify him immediately, and he was just in the middle of saying this when something caught their attention.